How you doing? This is Mark Ford. I want to kind of show you what's going on here in the laboratory at one of the coffee farms here. What we got, something new I want to go through first, is this is the skin of the coffee cherry. And what happens with the skin of the coffee cherry is that it's roasted just a little bit and created into a tea. This is something very new that's coming out. And it's got more antioxidants in it than Gatorade. This is a very new product, and it doesn't need sugar. I mean, to taste it, it's got a sweet flavor to it. It's got like a honey flavor to it, and it tastes really, really good. We're really looking into putting this into America. It's something that's really interesting. It's not available in America yet, and hopefully we can be the first ones to bring it there. Well, once the process starts, when we bring the beans in, we bring the beans in as an unroasted green bean, and it comes into the test roaster. And what this test roaster does is they'll roast like a pound of the green bean, and then they'll test it. They'll put it in here when it's done, and the baristas will take and they'll certify the coffee of how it comes out of the mini roasters. If it comes out good in one batch, it's going to come out good in the larger batch, and I'll take you there in a few minutes to show you. We come over here to the next phase. This is the grinder. Obviously, you've seen these at the grocery stores, and they'll grind up 1 pound, and they'll go right through the whole process of creating a whole a whole pound of coffee to test it, grade it, certify it. And once that's done, they know what the lot is, and the lot is what designates what goes to the bigger roaster. What also we have is different forms of coffee that comes off the farm here. We put different bags in here and can ship most of these bags up to the United States and Canada. The company mainly goes and produces different brands of coffee and different names. They can do different bags and with the company logos on them, or the specialty bags. But the difference is it's got to have all the certifications on the back. That's one of the laws here in Colombia. Before it leaves this country and goes to America, must have all the certifications. That way we can keep the FDA, the INVIMA, which is the Colombian FDA, and the Federation of Coffee happy. We don't keep them happy, we can't ship nothing. So that's part of their rules. The other situations, they have other kinds of coffee here that we try. The little tiny cups here are kind of neat. What they do is they put small batches of coffee in these, and they'll sniff, and they'll drink, and they'll put it on the table here, and go to the next barista, he's got to try it, and go to the next barista, he's got to try it. And if they all agree, right, that this is a good flavor and a good grade of coffee, then it moves on to the next level. It'll go to the big roaster downstairs. Okay, now we're in the office, and I want to kind of show you the different grades of coffee. If you look here, this shows the way that the coffee is graded. This is the best coffee that you can get. Some coffees get graded with too much vinegar. Some coffees get graded because they have insect bites, and you can see in the picture, right? Some coffee gets graded because it's broken when it comes out of the shell. These are the ways that we grade the coffee here to make sure that it's the best quality that goes out to you guys. This is done by the Federation of Coffee also. When we send coffee to them, they'll look at it and they'll say, okay, yeah, your grade for number 1 is really bad, right? Or your grade for number 10 is okay, but we need to start watching it closer. I mean, they control that really, really, really good. The best thing about us is we send that stuff. That's what we send, the best you can get. Additional, here shows the certifications from the INVIMA, which is like the FDA, like I explained. The INVIMA is the FDA of Colombia. This is the certifications for the Coffee Federation of Colombia, which means that on our bags we can put the triangle, the red triangle. This shows that we have the certification to send all of that stuff to America with the old Juan Valdez logo. Additional, you can see the pictures of the birds we have here in the office and the animals. These are all the animals here in this zone, in this area where we grow the coffee at. There's a lot of different animals here. It's amazing the tropical animals that are here on this farm. It's just absolutely great. So we just thought we'd put some pictures up to show you guys everything that's here. And believe it or not, these animals affect the way that the coffee is grown, because they do get into the coffee and they do eat the coffee and they pass it around. And you know, they got the expensive monkey coffee, if you know what I'm talking about. It's something else that's grown here as well. Additional, here are barcodes that shows that it's legal. Everything is 100% above board. We're really excited to get this moving into the Mississippi Coffee Company and the Alabama Coffee Company. Thank you. Okay, this is the vat of where the fresh coffee, once it's picked, goes right here to be looked at, washed, and sent on to the thrasher. But after it goes through the thrasher, this is what I was talking about. This red bean right here, the cherry they call it, the coffee cherry. This skin is what they use, this new skin, or this new idea is what they use for the tea, right? They'll wash it, clean it, and then roast it, and here's your tea. This is the cherry tea, or the coffee cherry skin tea. This is how that's made. It comes from the covering of the actual coffee bean. If you see here, this is the, let me grab one here for you. They're hard to grab because they are kind of wet. This is the actual coffee bean inside the skin. What happens with this next is it goes to the dryer. And the peel, which is the skin of the coffee bean itself, right, gets dried and flaked off. This is something you're really going to like. I am not in a wine cellar. Where I'm at is the area where we store the coffee beans at in wine barrels. What happens with these barrels? These barrels were used to hold red wine, and the barrels have the flavor of red wine inside the oak. When the coffee beans sit in there, they ferment, and it gives the flavor of, it takes the flavor from the wine from the edge of the barrels. What happens next is when we dry the beans out and then we roast them, we have something called coffee bean wine. And this is another new product that's coming out, not available in the United States, but it's actual coffee flavored wine, or excuse me, wine flavored coffee, right? The cool part about it is these are rollers. They take the barrels down once a month and they'll roll them. Right? They have to roll them for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and then they'll put them back up there and let them sit. This stuff here sits for some time. These are solid oak barrels full of coffee. The great part about this is that it's so new that there's no one doing this right now in the United States or in Canada for that matter. And the flavor, I'm telling you guys, the flavor would knock your socks off. The flavor is like, I don't know how to explain it. Have you ever had a red wine and a chocolate, or a red wine and a honey cream cracker? It's very similar, but it's got that coffee hint and a coffee flavor to it. Okay, now we're in the roasting area. What we're doing here is we take those beans that were tested in the laboratory and brought down to these large roasters. These roasters cook about 50 kilos every 1 hour, 2 hours. When they're done, they spit it out here and they start over again. And that's why we have 2 or 3 of them in here. The idea here is that when they got the coffee done and it's roasted into the bean, that's when they take it and put it into the wine barrels, right? So next what happens? This here, I think you guys get a kick out of. This is idea of the bag that we're going to try to put in the United States, this is the wine coffee that we were talking about a little bit ago. I'm telling you, there's nothing like it in the world. Additional certificata, right? There's certified Federation of Coffee, and it's certified Colombia, and it's certified Cultura Cafetero, right? This is a must-have when you're shipping to the United States, right? You must have these certifications. You can ship coffee without the certifications, but you're not going to guarantee that the wine or the coffee is delicious. It's not going to hit you right there where you're after it. This product here is the bagger, right? This is the bagging thing. It does, I call it the bagging thing, but it actually spits out about 70 bags a minute. Roughly around 4,500 bags an hour is what it can do. It's just a regular metal bag, and it automatically seals it, throws the exact amount it needs in, seals it, and then spits it out at the bottom into a bucket. The perfect part about this one is it's not new engineering, but if you remember, some of the older equipment that was made in the 1990s or the early 2000s is really the best equipment because it's not all computer driven. This is a PLC, right? Program Logic Controller. It's that easy. The best part about using this product is that when it is done, all you do is add more bag paper to it and fill the coffee up. This is how beautiful it is here in Colombia. The coffee grows on hillsides, and they put plantain trees in between some of the rows there to help it with shade. Too much sun on a coffee plant is bad for it. It'll just burn the heck out of it. But when you have plantains and coffee growing together, they both complement each other. Additional, you'll find a lot of bamboo in this product. In this zone, you'll find a lot of bamboo. For example, right here is a nice grove of bamboo in the middle of a valley. The bamboo holds water, and what the bamboo does with the water is every so often the bamboo will release the water, and then in 24 hours it'll suck it right back up into the stalks. Um, Bamboo is a necessity when you're doing coffee because at this altitude, at 1,600 meters, that bamboo is important for the water. Coffee needs a lot of water. Too much water obviously is bad for it, but not enough water is obviously bad too. So you have the plantain trees that do the cover, and you have the bamboo that does the water. Now I'm in the separation room. What the separation room does is it starts up here where the beans come in from the thresher. It comes down into the shaker. The shaker will separate it from the size and weight, right? Then it comes down into the Sataki FMS 2000. This machine here separates it for color. And the good color will separate from here, the good stuff, the bad stuff will come out of here, and then the good stuff will come over to here. Then it gets taken back up into the conveyor and processed over to here. What happens here? The workers will take their 70 kilo bags and they will continue all day long fill the 70 kilo bags that go out to our market to make it roaster. This would go to the roaster next. Now I'm in the drying room. What happens here in the drying room is we take the beans and we put them into a dryer. This dryer holds about a ton of coffee beans, and it'll dry with 1 ton of coffee in 6 hours. What happens before? We have to decide what we're going to dry. So an example is when I showed you the tea earlier, this here is the total coffee cherry dried. And this product here is what we take off to make the tea, right? And inside you see the bean, right? Nothing's wasted when you do it as a tea. The bean is here. And earlier, when I took a red one apart and I put the bean in my hand, it was real slimy, if you saw. That's called honey, right? So we have the red coffee cherry dried, and this here gets taken off from another machine called a raster. The raster takes this off and just leaves the bean. When you just take the bean with the honey, the slimy part you saw in my hand, this is what you get, right? This is called coffee with honey. And what happens with this is this gets completely taken into a raster, and you come out with the green bean. This is honey coffee, and it's really, really delicious, guys. This coffee here, this is a complete product. This is the cherry taken off, the shell taken off, the skin taken off, and the honey taken off. This is completely 6 hours in the roaster and finished. This will go to a raster, and what will happen is you have your green bean. And as you can see, these beans are absolutely beautiful. As you saw in the photo in the office, there is a very good quality of bean. No defects, no insect bites. It's not black, it's not broken. It's a good quality bean. One of the most important things we forgot to mention is that people ask, how do you heat this thing? This is a really big machine. And what we want to do is we want to keep it in touch with the environment. Therefore, we do not use electric to heat this. We don't use gas to heat it because it changes the flavor. What do we use? We use the skin from the coffee. This goes into the furnace and it burns at the right amount of temperature. The only electric we use is for the fans that will blow the heat into the dryer. That's what we use, and it's the perfect way to do an organic, more or less industrial, environmentally safe coffee. And it doesn't change the flavor. Okay, now we're in a natural drying area. What happens here is that this is like a greenhouse. And they bring the coffee in here and they'll put it on little beds of screen and they'll let it naturally dry. So instead of 6 hours of drying the coffee bean, it takes around 5 or 6 days. And this is called natural drying. Does it change the flavor? Yeah, actually it comes out really a little bit better. You could tell the difference between naturally dried and heat dried. This coffee here is good coffee as well. I mean, it comes out grade A also. Just depends on, you got to take care of the quality, the color, and the weight. It's very important because you don't want to put something in a certified bag that has not got the good grade on it, the good quality, or the weight. Follow me a second. You can't actually operate a farm without having the people that know what they're doing. Giovanni, come here. This is Giovanni. Giovanni owns and operates this farm with us. And he takes care of everything. He's got over 25 years experience in working with coffee. And he is a master roaster and a master coffee grower. Obviously, we couldn't operate or be able to supply what we want to supply to you guys if it wasn't for this man here. This man is the guy to go to. He is the one that knows what he's talking about. And if he says this is the way it needs to be done, you don't question it. That's the way it needs to be done. And this is why we have the best coffee coming to America for the United States and Canada. Just so you guys know, they still carry the beans on their back. Right, and it doesn't matter their age. I mean, these guys are built really well. They have carried coffee like this for centuries, and they still do it to this day. And what we have now is 2021, and these guys still carry the coffee. This guy's name is Antonio, and he is one of the best coffee carriers in this area. In closing, I want to say thank you for watching. Got peacocks out here too. But make sure you push the subscribe button and ring the bell so you get other updates when we do our coffee shows. And watch the peacock when you have time. Thank you again.